with me to discuss the implications for France, Europe, and of course Britain is Sylvie Berma, France's ambassador to the UK. It's good to see you. Thanks for coming in. You tweeted following the result in France that the country had chosen hope, openness, reforms, and Europe. You know Emmanuel Macron. How do you see him transforming France?
Well, I think he wants to make reforms. He's always said that, and even in the past, and it's very clear in his program. He wants to create more jobs and also more equality. And he wants to reconcile the people with the EU. The EU is always a scapegoat, as we know very well.
Okay, one suspects that the Germans are happy about the result in France today because the French, as a partner with Berlin, the two of them are very important in keeping the whole bloc together. Do you see that relationship impinging in any way on the way the Brexit talks are conducted?
Well, I think it's important to have a very strong relationship between France and Germany. It has always been the engine of Europe, and so they need to agree before having any negotiations. But as you know, there's already been guidelines, and there's going to be a mandate for negotiating the Brexit.
I mean, he's already said, hasn't he, during the campaign, that the Brexit was not going to be a walk in the park. Do you think any difficulties that there will be inevitably with the Brexit negotiations will be because the French are putting up roadblocks?
No, absolutely not. I know that it has been written that the French want to punish the British. It's not the case at all. I think it has to be a negotiation in good faith. And the only thing we've said, it's not possible to have a better deal being outside than being inside the EU. That's just a fair point.
He is committed to the European Union, and he made that clear during the campaign, and that's clearly what the French people partly voted for. Would he be hoping to reform the European Union in any way?
Well, I think in a certain way it's necessary to reform the EU or to improve the functioning of the EU. Have maybe less interventions of the Commission, more subsidiarity, and more role for the nations. And he wants to protect the citizens of the EU, coast guards, for instance, and so also to create more growth and more jobs. But we need to have a strong EU. It's better for France. And it's better internationally also when we are discussing with the Americans or with the Chinese, because that's the same scale. And so that's the reason why it is so important for us. So we want to discuss, of course, with the British, but our priority is the EU.
Indeed. You talk about potentially greater subsidiarity, the concept that, you know, more decisions are made at a local level, and perhaps that might make some of those people who feel disenchanted with the whole idea of the European Union feel better because decisions are being made at a more local level. But when it comes to the Eurozone countries, he wants a lot more integration, doesn't he? He actually wants, if necessary, if possible, a Eurozone finance minister.
Well, of course, I think it's necessary if you have a single currency to have more convergence between the economy and the finance of the countries of the Eurozone. So that's the reason why he proposed that. It has to be discussed, of course, but I think it's a logical proposition.
There are lots of French expats living over here, of course, working and enjoying life in the UK. How do you think they're feeling now? And do you think they are perhaps going to get the impression that their status in this country is going to be decided sooner rather than later?
Well, as you know, they're worried about the future. It's going to be negotiated with the EU, and the basis is reciprocity and non-discrimination. So it has to be negotiations, and we'll see how it goes.
And the general feeling beyond that, perhaps, of those people here in the UK about the election result?
Well, 95% of the French citizens in the UK voted for Emmanuel Macron. and 51% voted in the first round for Emmanuel Macron.
So they're all happy, just as you are. Indeed. Sylvie, thanks very much indeed for joining us. Sylvie Bernard, the French ambassador to the United Kingdom.